Hello everyone, are you ready for the final race weekend of the DTM season 2024? It's the final countdown, the final showdown, and we are psyched. It's going to be an exciting race weekend, and now we're ready for race one. And the man who's starting in pole position is Kelvin van der Linde. And Kelvin, you managed to pick up some points, so the gap to Mirko is a little less, and also you're in pole position, the perfect position, and Mirko's in P7, so I guess you can exhale there, and you're a bit excited about that.
Yeah, for sure. I think the quality this morning was more, the points were probably more important than the starting position, even though I'm definitely very happy about starting from P1. It was probably one of the most important of the season so far, so I'm very excited to go racing. I know Mirko will be fighting back, as he always does. It's been a incredible season, fighting back and forth. You know, every race day somehow something different happens. So respect to everyone. I think I can only say that we've had some great competition this year, and whichever way it goes, let's make the most of it.
It's really an exciting battle this year. It's so close. You're 12 points behind Mirko, and I mean, at this point, you really need nerves of steel. And this weekend, you really seem a bit more relaxed, even though it's about the final two races.
Yeah, it's been tough. I can imagine also for Mirko, you know, it's difficult leading the championship because you're the target for everyone in the races. You feel it, you know, it's just, you don't have to even say it. You feel in the racing, and obviously as a driver, you also get a bit more cautious. You try not to take a lot of risk when you're leading the championship. So actually this week it's been nice to be second and just chase for a change and go for the wins, go for the pole positions. And so far it's been good.
Maybe it's going to change today. All right, so thank you so much. Best of luck, Kelvin. And now here are your commentators.
Thanks very much indeed, Verena. Yeah, welcome everybody. 6 months since the start of the season. We've had 7 weekends coming into Hockenheim, and we're about to get our final 2 races to decide this year's 2024 DTM champion. It is between Mirko Bortolotti, Kelvin van der Linde and Maro Engel. For one of them, they're going to be their first championship win in the DTM. But which of the 3 will it be? 20 points cover those 3 drivers. And we've still got, after qualifying this morning, 53 points up for grabs. After this race, though, only 28 points still available, with the 3 for pole tomorrow that you get, and also then a potential 25 points for winning the race tomorrow. So for Maro Engel, he's got to make sure that he is within 28 points of the championship lead to stay in the fight. But as Verena said, Kelvin van der Linde in qualifying this morning on a track which started damp, got a bit drier, but never dry enough for slicks. Some tried the slicks, it never worked. They went back onto wets at the end of the session, and it was Kelvin van der Linde who put in a stunning lap late on to make sure he got pole position and the 3 points that came with it, and that has put him now to within 12 points of Mirko Bortolotti. Mirko was the driver that started on the wets and ran the wets throughout the session, was running second for much of the session, but slipped back and will start 7th on the grid, with Maro Engel starting in 9th. We'll go back to the grid now and catch up with Verena.
And I'm here with Mirko Bortolotti, the leader of the championship, starting in P7. You're 12 points ahead of Kelvin van der Linde. Obviously, at this point, it's all about the championship. So I guess it's going to be a bit more tough to go to the front and catch up. But nonetheless, are you in good spirits?
Yes. First of all, it's all about the race, because we have a long race now coming up. Then we have another day tomorrow, and then we will see where we are. So we still have some work to do.
Absolutely, and hopefully it's going to be good weather, it's going to be stable, and hopefully you will have an ace down your sleeve and ace this race.
Yeah, we will try our best. Thank you.
Best of luck, Mirko. Thank you so much. And now we're going to see the third in the championship is Maro Engel, and he's right here. I can see him already. So let's find out from him, because obviously at this point, when it's all about the championship, I mean, this is going to be a tough one. There are 20 points between Maro. Hello, first of all. How are you doing?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing very well, but I'm so excited about this because the battle is just so purely exciting, and you're third in the championship. I mean, there are 20 points behind Mirko. So, I mean, at this point, really anything is possible. Unfortunately, you're in P9, but knowing you're going to push so hard.
Yeah, for sure. We'll give it our best shot. Not the quality we wished for, but that's behind us. Now we look forward to the race.
And what's your gut feeling? I mean, it's going to be a tough one, especially being kind of in the middle of the field. Is it all about strategy? I mean, you're all focused. What's it going to be all about?
It's all about moving forward.
And Hockenheimring is one of your favorite tracks, though, right? So that's good.
Yeah, for sure. It's always a great track, always a lot of action. So let's hope for a good race.
All right, well, best of luck. Thank you so much. And now here are your commentators.
Thanks very much indeed, Maro Engel there, who, alongside Lucas Auer last week, wrapped up the GT World Challenge Championship in the Sprint Cup with Winward Racing. They won the Teams and Drivers Championships, so many congratulations to them. Maro, 20 points behind, but if you're a Maro Engel fan, I'll give you some heart. He's 9th on the grid, but his first 2 podiums of this year came from lower down on the grid than that. He got 2 second-place finishes from a 10th and a 13th on the grid. And take yourselves back to 2021. Liam Lawson coming into the final round, which was at the Norris Ring, led the championship. He was 14 points clear of Kelvin van der Linde, and he was 26 points clear of Maximilian Gutz. And Maximilian won both the races. And from even further back than Maro Engel currently is, he managed to win the championship. So all is not yet lost for Maro Engel. He could really do, though, with his first win of the season, having so far this year picked up 7 podium finishes, 5 seconds and 2 third-place finishes. Now, something exclusive to us here this weekend, coming in with the Red Bull parachuter there. You can see that we have got a new DTM logo, which is being unveiled this weekend, still using the famous DTM letters, but it's a new style that they've incorporated. It's been in and around the paddock yesterday. The Red Bull Skydiver, the plan is that it's going to land on the grass next to the starting grid with the new logo on display, and this is the first official appearance of the new logo on TV, and it will be used permanently from Monday onwards. And this is a new style to reflect the dynamism and the speed, but also the contemporary and historical aspects of the DTM. So the new DTM logo coming in, and down on the grid we can get some more from Verena.
And I'm super excited because we've got Angelique Kerber here, former German tennis superstar. We're so thrilled to have you here. So now, of course, Angelique, the first question being, are you a motorsport fan and are you a DTM fan?
You know, I'm a really big motorsport fan, especially in combination with Porsche. I mean, for me, it's like the first time and it's the final weekend, so I'm a really big fan and I'm so excited to be here.
And since you said you love Porsche, I guess you're also crossing your fingers for Thomas Preining?
Yes, of course. I mean, I'm crossing fingers.
And I mean, it's so full. Now people are leaving the grid, the starting grid, but it was so full. What do you think about the atmosphere? Obviously, it's so different to tennis, but do you love it?
I love it. I mean, as an athlete, I feel the adrenaline, I feel the attention, I feel how they really focus, especially now in the last minutes. And yeah, I mean, for me, it's so exciting to be here in a different sport event, but I think my plan B was, if I'm not wearing a tennis player, I think I would start driving fast cars. I think I really loved it since I'm a kid, and I really follow it also during the TV, during all the races, and it's great to be here physically now, because now I have a little bit more time, so I'm really excited and looking forward.
Angelique, I was just going to say, you have a little bit more time, so it's never too late, right? What about a second career in motorsport racing?
Who knows? I really love it. This is what I can say, and for sure I will be following it a little bit more. Maybe I will also watch a little bit more races during next year, and yeah, let's see what's happened.
And you're always welcome here. We would love to see you again. Thank you very much, and enjoy the race now.
Thank you so much.
All right, so now we're super psyched for our race. We just saw the skydiver landing with the new logo. How exciting is that? And now we are all ready, so fasten your seatbelts. Let's go racing. Here are your commentators. Enjoy.
Great stuff. Thanks very much, Verena. Great to see Angelique Kerber there on the grid as well, former world #1 tennis player, 3 times a major winner in 2016, won the US and Australian Open, and a Wimbledon winner as well in 2018, and a real petrol head by the sound of it. So she picked a good race to come to, that's for sure, the penultimate round of the DTM 2024 season. A reminder then, a 1 hour plus 1 lap race, a mandatory pit stop in the middle 20 minutes of the race where all the drivers have to change tyres. For this race, they get an allowance of 4 new sets of slick tyres to last the 2 qualifying sessions and 2 races. And we've got 25 points available to the race winner. So Kelvin van der Linde, second in the championship, lining up on pole position. The championship leader, Mirko Bortolotti, lining up 7th on the grid. And with some work to do, Maro Engel, 3rd in the championship, trying to come from 9th on the grid. We're about to find out how it all turns out as we get set for race 1 here at Hockenheim. Welcome everybody then to the Hockenheimring. It's the 31st time that this circuit has hosted the DTM season finale weekend. It's the track that the DTM has visited the most times over the years, and in this 40th anniversary season of DTM, it's, I'm sure, going to provide, as it always does, some absolutely thrilling racing. We've had some great battles here over the years. We've had some great battles here last year. A double victory in 2023 for Thomas Preining, who of course went on to win his first championship title last year. And we've also, of the championship contenders, had a win here in 2021 for Kelvin van der Linde. Lucas Auer has had a couple of wins here. René Rast has had 4 wins here. Marco Wittmann has had 4 wins in the DTM at Hockenheim. But way out front with more wins than anybody in the history books, Bernd Schneider, the great Bernd Schneider, with 8 wins at Hockenheim in the DTM. Ahead of Jamie Green on 6, and actually René Rast 5 wins for René, 3rd in the rankings. There's a big crowd here gathered, and this is the grid that will shape up for race 1. Kelvin van der Linde and Lucas Auer on row 1, Arjen Nguyen and Luca Engstler on row 2. Jack Aitken and Thomas Preining start on the 3rd row. Mirko Bortolotti and Jules Gounon, who's standing in for Lucas Stoltz, up next. Maro Engel and Nicky Tim complete the top 10. Then it's Ricardo Feller and Arjun Maini. Row 7, Frank Pereira standing in for Christian Engelhardt and Marco Wittmann. Max Powell and René Rast start 15th and 16th. Then Thierry Vermeulen and Clement Schmidt on the penultimate row of the grid. Back on the last row of the grid, Sheldon van der Linde with Ben Durr for company. But it's a complete venture into the unknown today, because yesterday free practice 1 wet, yesterday free practice 2 started damp, dried up towards the end, and at the end the Lamborghini of Mirko Bortolotti was quickest, so that will give him some heart coming into this race. But then we had a damp track again this morning, so it's going to be the first session of the whole weekend that's going to be fully dry, but it should be dry for the rest of the weekend now. And we are all gathered ready to go for round 15 of DTM 2024. My name's Chris Hartley, and up here in the commentary box with me, ready to go racing, is Brian Oliver.
Good afternoon, Chris. Good afternoon, everybody watching around the world. If you were a Hollywood scriptwriter, this would be the perfect plot. You have second in the championship starting on pole position. You have the championship leader with a 12-point advantage starting in 7th. You have 3rd in the championship starting 9th. The outgoing champion starting in between all of them. Chuck in there Jack Aitken, Luca Engstler, Arjen Nguyen, Lucas Auer. All of them on a track that they haven't run on in terms of conditions at any point this week. This is set to be an absolute thriller. Oh, and by the way, we are in the final round of the season. Just 2 races remaining, and still we don't know who's going to be the champion. This is really exciting.
And we might not know until the last lap of the last race tomorrow, the way this championship is going. That's the Drivers' Championship, but there's still a Teams' Championship up for grabs as well. Schubert Motorsport lead the standings in that one. Only points scored in the races for the Teams' Championship, not qualifying points, and your top 2 cars count. So there's no advantage to Schubert having 3 cars on the grid in terms of the points scored. They are 39 points clear of Abt Sportsline and 52 points clear of Winward, who are 3rd. SSR Performance are 4th, 56 points behind, and Team HRT are 5th, 70 points behind. 90 points still up for grabs, though, so those 5 teams could still win it. And the manufacturers' standings, there are 4 that could still win that. Mercedes have got 384 points. They're 24 clear of Lamborghini, 47 clear of BMW, and Audi are 83 points adrift. And Brian, this the last weekend that will see Abt Sportsline running Audis, and it's 25 years that partnership has run. Lamborghinis for the Abt Sportsline team next year, so it could well be the last time, at least for a while, and at least under the guise of Audi and Abt as a collaboration, that we'll see the R8 on the grid in the DTM. And what a way it would be to go out if they could win the race and win the championship with Kelvin van der Linde. The team principal, Martin Tomczyk, Brian, has said it would be the icing on the cake.
It really would. It is the end of an era. We've seen that Audi R8 take so many wins and so many championships across the years, not just DTM, GT, Masters, and numerous other things as well. It's going to be the last time we see Kelvin van der Linde behind the wheel of the R8. It's probably going to be the last time we see Ricardo Feller behind the wheel of an R8. Certainly the last time we'll see one with the Abt team as they head for Lamborghini next year. So very much the end of an era, but what a way to go out. Starting on pole position for the penultimate race of the season and challenging for the championship title.
Absolutely. The Laurent Aiello Abt Sportsline Audi TTR that they ran with all those years ago back in 2000, their first season in DTM, is here on display this weekend. Kelvin van der Linde has got the team their 92nd pole position in the championship. Can he get their 78th race victory? It's the 332nd start in the DTM. Abt are up front, but beware, there are some mega quick drivers behind. Lucas Auer in second place, buoyed by his championship win last weekend at Barcelona alongside Maro Engel. He's got his best qualifying of the season so far, and he won here at Hockenheim in 2017 and 2022. Ijntje Nguyen's got his best grid of the season, starting third. Luca Engstler, who's on the front row at Red Bull Ring a few weeks ago, qualifying brilliantly as well in fourth place. Jack Aitken next, Tommy Preining up next. They're all drivers, Brian, right behind Kelvin van der Linde, actually in between Kelvin and Mirko, that couldn't care less about championship points.
No, absolutely. They're here for the silverware. They want to stand on the podium. They don't give a stuff about championships, so they're going to be going for it. Bortolotti knows he cannot afford to record a non-finish, so all these drivers going for it around him. Can I just point out, just behind him, Jules Gounon as well. Great to have Jules Gounon here. We've been waiting for him in DTM for years. At last, welcome Jules. But he's going to be pushing as well. This is going to be spectacular.
Yeah, Jules Gounon, welcome to him, the Andorran-based Frenchman. Huge GT CV. He's been brilliant in GT racing. He's standing in for Lucas Stoltz in the number 4 HRT Mercedes. Luca, unfortunately, ill for this weekend.
Just a short reminder, there will be no light, there will be the German flag. There's no light at start finish, there will be the German flag as a reminder.
Yeah, that's the team radio to remind Kelvin van der Linde, the pole sitter, that we're going to start this penultimate race of the season, not with the lights, but with the national flag to signal the start of the race. The rolling start then, about to get underway. We look out from the commentary box, we can see that last sector into the arena section, and the cars just making their way now into the left-hander at the Sachs curve. The safety car will peel away once it exits turn 16, then coming out of the Sud curve at turn 17. Controlling the pace will be Kelvin van der Linde. He had a massive lap to get that pole position earlier on, his third pole position of the season. Can he get his biggest, greatest race win so far? He could really do with it, but he's in a position, at whatever happens at the moment, to take points out of Mirko Bortolotti's championship lead. Let's find out how this works out. There's the national flag. It's the penultimate race of DTM 2024, and we are about to burst into life as they nail the throttles and charge into battle then. On the way into the first corner, they go. It's a great start for Kelvin van der Linde. Ijntje Nguyen's Porsche looking at the inside of Lucas Auer's Mercedes. Auer then runs wide. He stays in second place, though. Nguyen reminding in third place. And then I think it's the Ferrari of Jack Aitken challenging. Yeah, it is challenging around the outside of Luca Engstler. He can't get there, though, so Engstler will stay fourth. Fifth will be Aitken. Sixth place will be Thomas Preining. All willing because Mirko Bortolotti gets a good run coming out of turns 3 and 4. They head towards the Parabolica where they get up to 265 kilometres an hour. Ricardo Feller has been pushed out wide and onto the grass, losing all of his momentum, losing all of his places. So the Swiss driver drops to the very back of the field. But look at Mirko Bortolotti. He's going side by side here with the Ferrari of Jack Aitken to try and squeeze up another place. He's gone from 7th to 5th on the first few corners, and he's got great traction coming out of the Spitzkehrer as well, coming out of the hairpin. A right-hander coming up. Bortolotti, you ride on board with him now. He's alongside Luca Engstler. Boom! Another place he picks up. 4th place already for the Italian from 7th on the grid. Just the start that he needed. And I remind you, he was really quick in the dry at the end of free practice 2 yesterday. So Bortolotti on a charge. None of the championship contenders carrying success ballast, because none of them finished in the top 3 last time out at the Red Bull Ring. And Maro Engel has made an excellent start as well. He started to pick up some places in the race. He's come through into the top 6 as well, Maro Engel. So excellent stuff from him, making short work of that troubled qualifying session he has. He hasn't really got the weekend going yet. He's had a spin in the wet in free practice 1. He never got a quick lap in free practice 2 because a red flag came out before the session ended. But he's straight on it here, Maro Engel, and that is the perfect start for him as well. So he's up to 5th place. Bortolotti is 4th. And then ahead of them, Nguyen in 3rd, Auer in 2nd, and Kelvin van der Linde, the race leader, by 3/4 of a second.
Bortolotti parted the way, and Mauro Engel follows through on his shirt tails. There's just sparks go flying up into the air. Let's hear from Mirko Bortolotti on team radio.
Yeah, man, that was the start of my life.
He's even got time to talk about it.
Just to say about Clemens Schmid, he pulled onto the start-finish line and then pulled off onto the grass just as they took the flag, then seemed to regain power, and he's rejoined, albeit a long way back. So he and Ricardo Feller, long way back at the back of the pack.
If we finish the race now, and please don't, we're going to be dead level on points. 217 points apiece between van der Linde and Bortolotti. Engel would still be in the mix as well, 22 behind, 28 still available, but with a tall order. There's Sheldon van der Linde in the BMW trying to make his way up from the back row of the grid. He's gained a few places already. There's René Rast in the blue BMW, who came from 23rd to finish 3rd in race 2 here last year. Now Nicky Tim going side by side here with Thomas Preining, the double winner here last year. Preining squeezes him out though and stays ahead, so remains in 9th position. But a big battle going on here at the tail end of the top 10. René Rast looking pretty quick. The Schubert BMWs have all struggled in qualifying this year. None of them have averaged being in the top half of the grid in qualifying this year. But they've all gone well in the races, and René Rast is certainly looking like he's on a charge. I can see coming into turn 17 now, the Sudcurver, Kelvin van der Linde, brother of this man, the 2022 champion Sheldon. He goes over the line. He's got Lucas Auer in his mirrors, but not that close at the moment. Then Guin, and then Bortolotti, and then Mauro Engel looks like he's had a good lap. They go through. And Mauro Engel, yeah, was half a second quicker than Bortolotti on the last lap. So the gap from 4th to 5th down to half a second.
Good battle going on, well, it was between Arjun Maini and Franck Pereira. Pereira now has dropped back into the clutches of Marco Wittmann. But as you say, the BMW is pushing forwards. René Rast, we've now become accustomed to him qualifying a little bit further back and charging forward. So keep an eye on the blue BMW just ahead of Arjun Maini.
Yeah, so we are flying already compared to what we've done so far this weekend. First time we've had a chance of a dry track. 1:39.3, the fastest lap for the race leader is Sheldon van der Linde. Makes his way past the McLaren of Ben Durr, and that puts him into the points now. 1 point at least for 15th. Not that he's really thinking about points in what's been a disappointing season. He's 6th in the championship, but wanted to fight for the championship. Nicky Tim going side by side with Thomas Preining again. But it's quite often the case, Brian, that somebody dives down the inside at the Spitzkehrer and then loses out on the drag race up to the next corner. But Nicky Tim has got it, and he's brave, isn't he, on the brakes on the way through into the right-hander at turn number 8. He makes turn number 7, he gets through. Let's hear, though, from the race leader, Kelvin van der Linde.
You were 2/10 quicker than everybody else last lap. Bortolotti P4 means we are currently equal on points.
So scratch what any driver says in the championship fight about not worrying about points, just dealing with the race, because he's clearly then asked for, just keep me updated what we're doing with the points. Yeah. And you're dead level. And a reminder, I'll just bring this up now at the start of the weekend. If drivers tie on points at the end of the season, it's on countback who's got the most wins. If they've got the same number of wins, who's got the most seconds, and so on and so forth. Well, at the moment, Mirko Bortolotti, 1 win this season, 2 wins for Kelvin van der Linde.
Without wishing to rain on anybody's parade, just to remind you also that Kelvin van der Linde is on 2 reprimands. 3 would be a bit of a disaster as we look again at the field heading into that first corner. But yes, Kelvin van der Linde needs to be careful, particularly the track limits, and that's something that has been an issue in qualifying and in free practice.
Yeah, for a lot of drivers, particularly the wet first free practice session yesterday, as they go wide and put 4 wheels beyond the curbs coming out of turn 1 at the Nord curve. We get some replays of the starts and the early stages of the race. This was a view on board with Mauro Engel, down the inside of Jules Gounon there, under braking on the way into the Spitzkehrer, and that was a nice move. And there were 4 abreast there just behind. Right on the outside there was Marco Wittmann, but not there was any contact on the way into the corner. This is what it looked like on the way into the hairpin aboard with Sheldon van der Linde. His 2 Schubert teammates just in front of him. René Rast, there was a bit of contact there for sure on the way out of the corner. And Marco Wittmann in the green BMW. This is the onboard from Jack Aitken, one of our onboards that we have this weekend. And this was the battle that he had on that first couple of corners with Mirko Bortolotti. Bortolotti, you're about to see, come screaming alongside as they go absolutely together on the way into the Spitzkehrer. And he got, it's so impressive that he carried so much speed into the corner, Brian, but also then had great traction coming out of the corner. If you brake that late, normally you slow out of the corner, but he got another one, got past Luca Engstler 1 corner after that.
Yes, having the traction to get out of there and the grunt as they head out towards turn 7. And they were coming out there 3 abreast. I had kind of flashbacks to 2 years ago, but I'm very pleased to say they all made it. We have a very high quality standard of driving at DTM this year. Look how wide the drivers are going out of turn 1. We need to be keeping an eye on that. The stewards are certainly watching that, exceeding track limits. They were really out wide into the runoff area.
Maro Engel's teammate is Lucas Auer. Lucas Auer is in 2nd place and has just set the fastest lap of the race 2 laps ago. His last lap was a 1:38.9. That was also a 10th quicker than Kelvin van der Linde. So he's chipping away at the advantage of the race leader. If Lucas Auer could get ahead of Kelvin van der Linde, he would take 5 points away from Kelvin, and that would be a massive benefit to Maro Engel.
Good job, we're increasing the gap to the rear. Let's continue like this.
Lucas Auer lost 32 thousandths of a second through the first sector of this lap, so even Stevens through the first sector, which only takes in the runs through turns 1, 2, 3 and 4. The middle sector is the much longer sector, takes in turns 5 to 11 and is about half of the lap time in terms of how long it takes to get through there, about 45, 46 seconds the middle sector of the whole lap. The race lap record around here is a 1 minute 38.3, just for reference. That was Sheldon van der Linde's BMW back in 2022, the year he won the championship. Right there in the background, we've got this battle that's starting to brew up quite nicely here for 6th place with Luca Engstler, Jack Aitken, and there's Jules Gounon coming into the mix as well. Jules, a 3-time Bathurst 12-hour race winner, a double Spa 24-hour race winner, an ADAC GT Masters champion, and the reigning and double World Challenge Endurance Cup champion, including last year with his teammate, one of his teammates that he's won it with twice now, Raffaele Marciello. So he might be new to DTM, Brian, but Jules Gounon there in the number 4 Mercedes run by HRT certainly knows how to drive a Mercedes GT3 car.
Yeah, when the history books look back on Mercedes AMG and the wins they've taken, Jules Gounon will feature very highly in that list. And as I said at the beginning, we've been waiting for him to join DTM for years. And if he's anything like Jordan Pepper, having had the taste of it, he'll want more. And we'd love to see him back on the grid next year. Certainly giving a good account for himself at the moment in that 8th place. The top 5 cars have certainly broken clear of Luca Engstler in that 6th place. And Jules Gounon, as if on demand, attacks for P7. Jack Aitken suddenly with his mirrors full of Mercedes. That's looking back from the perspective of Jack Aitken.
Yeah, on the way into turn 7 at 215 kilometres an hour. Into turn 3, they drop down to 2nd gear, 80 kilometres an hour, hard on the brakes. Hard to pass there. You wind your way up then through turns 9, 10 and 11 as they work their way up towards the end of the 2nd sector. Coming up next, the spectacular turn 12, the Mobile 1 curver, which is taking at 165 kilometres an hour, almost side by side. Jules Gounon had to think about it. Jack Aitken says, no, I'm staying where I am. You've got to tuck in behind me. And Nicky Tim wants a piece of the action as well. And the Lamborghini with the bright orange wing mirrors goes around the outside, goes too high around the outside, runs out of road, runs into the gravel, loses all his momentum and loses a ton of places as well. Just carried a bit too much speed, was just a bit high through the turn, so he tucks back in behind Thomas Preining. So that is going to drop him now out of the top 10. That will put him down to 12th place. Preining himself has been slipping back down the order over the last few laps of the race. Here's a replay. You can see exactly what Nicky Tim was trying to do. They were holding each other up. He said, right, I'll carry the momentum around the outside. But he just went a bit too high around the corner, didn't he?
That's a tricky bit of track there. It's also quite banked, a lot more than you realise. But he kept it out of the fence. That was the important bit. It did a bit of off-roading, rejoined, but as you say, dropping back into 12th place. So he's going to have to do a bit of work there to get back up anywhere near the podium finishers. There are some nervous people in the garage. I think it's what we're all looking like at the moment. It is very tense here at the Hockenheimring today. So much to play for.
You might mean family or friends of the 3 championship contenders and how nervous they are all going to be. On the last lap, Kelvin van der Linde was half a tenth quicker than Lucas Auer, so the gap's just crept back over 0.8 of a second. 1:39.1 for the leader, 1:39.2 for Auer, 1:39.4 for Gounon and Bortolotti in 3rd and 4th, and a 1:39.6 for Engel. So Engel, who was catching Bortolotti a couple of laps ago, has just slipped back a little bit on the last couple of laps of the race. Jules Gounon now arrives in front of Jack Aitken, and Jack Aitken now staring at the back of that Mercedes. So through and up into what is now 7th place, Jules Gounon, giving a very good account of himself. And René Rast is doing what René Rast has done a lot of the year. He's coming up through the order. Behind him is Arjun Maini. And in race 1 here last year, Arjun and René came together. That resulted in a puncture and a retirement for René Rast at the end of his first season as a BMW driver. So that might be on his mind when he checks the mirrors and sees Arjun, the driver, 8th in the championship, looking very rapid in that dark blue and yellow Mercedes.
Arjun Maini gets the award for the most improved driver this year. Really, really good stuff as we've seen him on the podium. Those 2 times at the Red Bull Ring. The view from Jack Aitken as Jules Gounon challenges him. Jack, who said that the Ferrari does not like it when it's kind of a mixture between wet and dry, which is exactly what it was this morning, but he still qualified in 5th place. So kind of outperforms at the car, really. His teammate Thierry Vermeulen is all the way back in 18th place at the moment, so being a little bit anonymous in this race at the moment, but still a long way to go.
It was a nice move from Jules Gounon coming out of the corner, getting the better exit from the turn. Nicky Timmy's on the march to try and get back up the order. See in the background, he's right underneath the rear wing of Thomas Priding. Here they are, the 2 brightest cars on the grid. Here they turn, and the Viking then is going on the attack here, but Tommy Priding is going to fight hard to keep him behind in the Manthey EMA Porsche. Manthey can still win the pit stop challenge this year. It's been a disappointing season for them all round, even though they have been thereabouts in the championship all year. They never really challenged for it. They are the teams and drivers champions of 2023, but they do lead by 3 points from Winward. The pit stop challenge for the teams that have the quickest 3 pit stops in each race are awarded 3, 2 and 1 points respectively. So this is the battle you're watching going on for 11th and 12th between Pryning and Tim. Behind them, Pereira, Wittmann and Sheldon van der Linde round out the points finishes at the moment. Ricardo Feller started to make a bit of a comeback as well after he was forced out onto the grass on lap 1. He's back up to 16th place now in the 2nd Audi. He's just done a 1:39.8, which means he's on the pace of everybody bar the first 2, who are getting closer and closer. The gap is down to half a second now. Lucas Auer is pushing on. The Austrian here could, as I say, do a huge, huge favour to Maro Engel, because Maro at the moment is going to be going into the 2nd day here at Hockenheim, 22 points behind as it stands. But if Lucas Auer were to pass Kelvin van der Linde, that would only be 17, still quite a tall order. But Lucas Auer has got one mission here, and that's to get the lead of the race away from the South African. And Lucas Auer would also quite fancy his first podium of the year. He's yet to be on the podium in 2024. For a driver that was 2nd in the championship a couple of years ago, it's been frustrating times in DTM. So if he can get a win here, he'll want to do it. And if that's also a benefit to his teammate, so much the better.
The iconic livery of the yellow Mamba bearing down on the race leader. You get the feeling he's got a little bit in his pocket there as well, biding his time. He doesn't need to rush anything. He's got 45 minutes plus 1 lap of this race remaining. It was Luca Engsler moving under braking who had a warning from our race steward, so he needs to be careful of that, because again that's something that could see a penalty incoming. But at the moment it's 1st and 2nd who are clear of Iron Changuin by about 3 seconds. So the 2 cars running on their own. There's Iron Changuin in the background, and championship leader Mirko Bortolotti just behind him.
Yeah, in the background, as the cars travelled out through into the Mobil 1 curve, I can see that Nicky Tim had got ahead of Thomas Pryning as well. So Nicky in the Lamborghini, I reckon, up to 11th place now, as the leaders make their way then into turn 1 at 180 kilometres an hour, 4th gear. Exit there, get up to 240 kilometres an hour before they go into the Bernie Eccleston corner after the ex-Formula 1 team owner and Formula 1 Supremo. Hard on the brakes for the first time into that corner, and down to 2nd gear and 80 kilometres an hour. As you see, the teams who are going to play a massive part in this next 2 days with their pit stops getting ready to go. It's huge pressure on these teams. They look to make their pit stop in terms of stationary time, changing the rears, then the front tyres. They look to do that, if they can, in under 7 seconds. We've had 6.3 second pit stops this year. The fastest pit stops on average this year have gone the way of Lucas Auer for Winward. His average 6.8 seconds now. Luca Engsler, he's about to concede a position potentially here to Jules Gounon. No, he's not. It makes the Lamborghini wide, gives a little nudge to the front right corner of the Mercedes on the way out of the turn. So as they come out of the spit scarer, the Lamborghini stays just ahead, and the former TCR touring car champion makes his presence known and gets back in front of Jules Gounon, who was briefly ahead of him coming out of the turn. Jules then closes up under braking, but the Mercedes driver has to sit tight for now. But he's closed the gap of over a second in just over a lap. So Jules Gounon, no doubt about it, is the quicker of the 2 drivers, and the Frenchman about to get another position here at the inside of Engsler and into the top 6.
Welcome to DTM. Jules, Luca Engsler staring at the back of that Mercedes now. Also in the background there is Jack Aitken and Rene Rast. The gap between the first two at half a second still. Just to remind you that Lucas Auer will be aware that Kelvin van der Linde will not want to take any risks. A DNF would be potentially disastrous for his title challenge. So Lucas Auer just waiting for his moment. But at the moment, they're holding station. We look there, Jules Gounon's already broken clear of Luca Engsler fairly quickly. Jack Aitken now closing in on the Mercedes. Also there, Rene Rast and Arjun Maini. The teams limbering up, getting themselves together. Team talk, palms on top of each other. They're getting ready because in less than 3 minutes, the pit window will open. Great to see some of the routine as they head towards the pit stops. Great to see Lucas Auer having a little look to the inside of Kelvin van der Linde. Just to repeat what I said, van der Linde cannot afford a DNF, and Lucas Auer will be totally aware of that. He's the one who can take the risks. Kelvin van der Linde needs to bring it home in the points.
If Kelvin was in any doubt as to whether he's going to have to fight like crazy for this race win, that doubt is now completely gone, because Lucas Auer showing his nose for the first time in the race. Behind Guin and Bortolotti, getting a bit closer for third as well. The Italian trying to get himself up onto the podium here. Maro Engel kind of sticking with them, but not really closing overall. But it's still quite a tight battle for third place, and the pit stop crews can make a huge difference if they get the pit stops right in these battles for the lead and the battle for the final spot on the podium. And as I said, Team Winwood have been mega at their pit stops this year, and that's the team that runs Lucas Auer in that yellow Mercedes. So the Austrian pushing then for what will be his third win here at this circuit in the DTM. But Kelvin van der Linde wants his second win at the Hockenheim circuit in DTM. His first since his first season of the championship back in 2021, and it would mean so much. But as he said to Verena, it's the points that mean more than the result now, and he wants those 25 points, and he wants to get himself dead level on points with Mirko Bortolotti for the championship, and then it will become a one-day championship effectively between the pair of them, with Maro Engel still in the mix as well. For now, Kelvin van der Linde seems to have just edged a little bit clear, just giving himself some breathing space over Lucas Auer. But Lucas Auer is quick here, coming out of the Parabolica, charging down towards the race leader, who we can now hear from on team radio.
What I'm trying to say, do I let him go and try to keep a good race pace?
Interesting, Brian. He's actually considering, do I stay, do I fight for the lead of the race, or do I let him go and not hold myself up by defending too much and settle for now for second place?
I was eager to hear what the team might have replied, but they didn't actually reply anything, at least nothing we could hear, because I imagine their thoughts might be the same as Rene Rast now finds a way past Luca Engsler. So that is for 8th place. We said Rast was going to be charging forwards, didn't we? And Luca Engsler struggling for pace a little bit in that Lamborghini, now falling into the clutches of Arjun Maini. But yes, Kelvin van der Linde, he's thinking about the big picture, isn't he? But there's 5 very valuable points there for between first and second place as we look once again at Luca Engsler, this time with Arjun Maini putting the pressure on. Here's a replay of Rene Rast with the gap on the inside of the hairpin, then the acceleration out towards turn 7 they come, which is taken flat out. Looks like there's been a bit of damage on Rene Rast. I think he might have been in the wars a bit as he's charged his way through.
Yeah, so Luca Engsler struggling a little bit for pace in the Grasser Racing team run at Lamborghini at the moment. The pit window has just opened, and he's the first one to come in. Marco Wittmann is also coming in to the pits. Leaders have already long since gone by. They've all stayed out for the time being. And the pit stops are going to be so crucial now, top 5 being so close together. One of the McLarens heading into the pits as well, Clement Schmidt, and Thierry Vermeulen's Ferrari as well. So 4 come in, rolling the dice, change the rears first, then change the front tyres. Pirelli slick tyres on, away goes Luca Engsler. A decent stop for the Grasser Racing team. He was stationary for 7.9 seconds, so it's not mega, it's okay. Marco Wittmann was stationary for 7.8. Thierry Vermeulen, pretty good stop from Emil Frey Racing, 7.3 seconds he was stationary for. And we haven't got time for Clement Schmidt. That hasn't come up on the timing screen. That's the onboard camera you now see. This is the battle for the lead of the race. We saw some shots of Hans-Jürgen Abt from Abt Sportsline looking ultra focused in the garage, watching the screens going on with the headphones on a couple of minutes ago, and both of them running way out wide as they make their way out of turn 12, the Mobile 1 curve, into the left-hander at the Sachs curve at turn 13. And the team getting ready here, Team Winward, for what could be an absolutely crucial pit stop. Now, is this going to be for Lucas Auer or is it going to be for Maro Engel? I suspect it might be for Maro Engel. Does he peel in? Yes, he does. So the first of our championship contenders comes in. Right, take a deep breath. Everybody down at Winward Racing. You've done a great job with the pit stops all year long. You just got to do 2 more mega pit stops to give your driver the best chance here. He's certainly had an excellent first stint. It looks like Jack Aitken coming in the background as well. I think Hockenheimring, is that in the background also coming in? Yes, it is, as I look out of the commentary box window. So 3 come in to make the pit stops. Almost at the end of the pit lane are at Winward, so it'll seem like forever coming down into the pit stops. More joining in, coming into the pits from further down the order as well, including Frank Pereira. Maro Engel is released, away he goes. 6 seconds dead, fantastic pit stop. That might just gain him a place or 2. He's just got to get onto the tyres quickly now, get those cold tyres up to temperature as quickly as he can. He's got to have a couple of mega outlaps now, but that's given him a real chance, hasn't it?
You see the car twitching around as he hit the accelerator and as he changed gear. Here's our race leader once again. I did wonder whether they were going to bring Lucas Auer in first to try and get him in and get him back out on some clear tracks so that he could do an undercut on the race leader. But at the moment, he's staying out. But Winward will be regathering themselves ready for the next car to come in. Also, you can see in the SSR Performance crew getting ready at some point for Mirko Bortolotti. They're not in the pit lane yet. But our race leader, Kelvin van der Linde, Lucas Auer, still on his back bumper. If he can't pass him on the track, he might try and do it in the pits. We're looking at them again as they head into 16 and then around to turn 17. Will either of them pit now? No, they won't. So they continue. But peeling off into the pits, Mirko Bortolotti. So pulling the pin for SSR Performance.
What a stop that was from Winward. I reckon that's the quickest pit stop of the year. 6.0 seconds. We don't get the timing to within a thousandth until after the race. But their previous quickest pit stop for anybody was the same team with Lucas Auer, 6.1 seconds at the Red Bull Ring. They'd love a 6-point-something second pit stop here. SSR. Rears first, then fronts. All looks good so far. Be quick, but don't panic. It's a bit sticky on the front left.
Problems.
Oh, no. That's going to cost time. Crucial time, 8.4 seconds. So there, he's lost already 2.4 seconds to Maro Engel, and he was not 2.4 seconds ahead of Maro before that pit stop phase happened. So Bortolotti released out. You can see in the background there, just go past the commentary box over the start-finish line is Maro Engel. He's not in front of Bortolotti yet, but Bortolotti's going to lose a ton of time on this lap as he gets the tyres up to temperature. And you can see the car is squiggling around already. All looks so good, didn't it? It was beautiful to start with, poetry in motion, but just didn't get that front left wheel nut lined up, aligned properly, whatever it was. It's so easy to do. You've got to be millimetre precise. And that has cost Mirko nearly 2.5 seconds, which means he's going to be on the back foot at the end of this lap with Maro Engel's tyres already up to temperature coming for him.
This is a team sport, Nash. I think the pit crew will have a sinking feeling, particularly the one that was on the left front. Whether it was mechanical or whether it was finger trouble, whatever it certainly was a long pit stop. But still, Maro Engel is behind Mirko Bortolotti, so he's getting the car, getting the heat into the tyres of the car. Maro Engel is closing in, but has he done enough? I don't think he has. You can see how hard he is pushing into turn 8, going so deep into the corner as he tries to defend that position.
Yeah, Bortolotti was massive understeer there, didn't he, as he tried to get into the left-hander. Now, the other one that's involved in this fight for third place is also into the pits. Anjan Guan and Mante have been mega at their pit stops this season as well. He's had the 3rd quickest pit stops on average this year, the Turkish driver. He's released. It's not mega, though. It's good. It's 7.4 seconds. It's not as good as the Winward stop. So it's all going to be a lot tighter than it previously was. Out of the window, and see coming into turn 16, Bortolotti is about 3 car lengths clear of Maro Engel. So Maro coming out of the last corner, gets on the throttle, tries to close up. He's going to be with Mirko Bortolotti soon. Bortolotti's done a good job on the in-lap, though, I reckon. And further back round the order, I see Marco Wittmann having a big go to go around the outsider. Thomas Priding, they're absolutely side by side coming past the commentary box window. Well, I hope we get a replay of that because Marco Wittmann's just driven around the outside of Thomas Priding. A proper Marco move that was. And that puts him up into 14th place. So that's the battle between 2 of the 3 championship contenders. Bortolotti and Engel battling for a net 3rd place alongside Anjan Guan And Guan in the number 90 Porsche, having been the most recent one to make his pit stop. He's not that far in front of the green Porsche, so these are three battling for third place effectively. Bortolotti looks like he's going to hang on to what was a net fourth position once all the pit stops are done. However, Maro Engel is way closer than he was before the pit stops, isn't he?
Bortolotti's done a great job getting the heat into the tyres. We saw him ducking in. Now, I think there's Kelvin van der Linde. Is it into the pits that we saw peeling off? So Kelvin van der Linde, our race leader, into the pits, handing the lead to Lucas Hauer. But it looked like a challenge for Maro Engel just as we cut away. But here comes our race leader, keeping to the pit speed limit. This is critical.
Engel's still behind Bortolotti. They've just come back into our view, into the Sachs curve where they now turn. So Bortolotti fended off Engel. Right, Abt have got their huge pit stop underway. It looked good, it looked good, it looked good. Away goes the South African Kelvin van der Linde. The time, 7.2 seconds. Pretty good. Not a disaster, not the best pit stop, but pretty good. I think they'll take that. So Kelvin goes back out now. He should still be the net race leader. That's the first of the pit stoppers. And in the background there, Andrew Guan flashing his headlights is the next of the pit stoppers, with behind him Bortolotti and Engel.
We have also final call track limit turn 1. We have also final call track limit turn 1.
Ooh. Final call on track limits at turn 1 for Maro Engel, the smoothest of drivers. But he can't afford to go beyond those white lines anymore. Otherwise, he's going to get a penalty, Brian. He cannot afford that. He needs almost a perfect weekend to go for the title this year.
And a penalty would come in the shape of a visit to the penalty box. The white box you see on the track on the left-hand side, he'd have to pass through that at no more than 50 kilometres an hour. It'd be the equivalent to adding 5 seconds onto his lap time. It would be disastrous if he got one of those penalties. At the moment, he's keeping the pressure onto Mirko Bortolotti, who has done a phenomenal job getting the heat into those tyres and fending off car 130. But again, Engel has a look on the inside, the two cars side by side. Bortolotti goes wide. Engel muscles his way through, takes the position away. Bortolotti relegated down into 9th place.
And the race leader, Lucas Hauer, comes in. So Jules Gounon will pick up the lead of the race. He's yet to pit. Those with a green number on your graphic, they've made their pit stop already. Those that haven't have still to come in. Lucas Hauer then comes in. Now, where is he going to come out in relation to Kelvin van der Linde? It takes 32 to 33 seconds to make a pit stop, including the time in and out of the pits. Lucas Hauer comes out over the line now. Goes Kelvin van der Linde. There he is in your shot. So Hauer will be in front of van der Linde, but he won't be that far clear of him. And Kelvin now has got to go like the clappers with his tyres up to temperature to close this gap. I would say he's a bit nearer to Hauer than Engel was to Bortolotti at the same phase a few laps ago. So the Mercedes, which is notorious for struggling to get its tyres up to temperature, he's going to have to go like crazy now, Lucas Hauer, to fend off Kelvin van der Linde. And Maro Engel, having got past Mirko Bortolotti with that move on the previous lap, has just edged clear of him now by 2 or 3 car lengths. That was the move, Brian, Maro Engel, of a driver that's got no choice but to go for it. It was a great move.
Yes, well, it's an all-or-nothing kind of move, really, isn't it? He's just charging through, giving it everything he's got. Going back to Lucas Hauer, he must have done some monstrous in-laps before his pit stop to have got that close, trying to get the undercut of Kelvin van der Linde. At the moment, he's got the advantage, but he's got to get the heat into the tyres. Maro Engel has the tyres up to temperature. He's got past Mirko Bortolotti, so that's one position. His main championship rival currently behind him.
Right, I can see coming into the complex, Lucas Hauer, he's about 2 car lengths clear of Kelvin van der Linde. So Kelvin on the way into the Sachs curve at turn 13. He's almost with Lucas Hauer now. He probably won't be able to find a way past at the end of this lap. Here's a replay of the move of Maro Engel and Mirko Bortolotti. Mirko won't think that's a great move. He'll be a bit grumpy about that. But in the end, Engel got through. Team radio from Bortolotti.
Off the racetrack, sorry.
Took me off the racetrack, and off the racetrack has got Lucas Hauer. He goes wide coming out of the final turn. Here comes then Kelvin van der Linde. This is your chance, Kelvin. He goes to the outside, he cuts to the inside, he thuds over the curbs. The Audi R8 goes side by side with the Mercedes. This for the net lead of the race for all 25 points. And Kelvin van der Linde's got the inside line, and he goes through the South African African charging back through into the net lead of the race, and that was all because of the pressure he'd been applying to Lucas Auer coming out of the final 2 turns.
Auer got his rear wheel on to the grass coming out of turn 17. You saw the dirt kicked up into the air. It would have taken him a corner to get that cleaned up. Kelvin van der Linde saw the chance, went for it, but now Lucas Auer, with those tyres cleaned up, heading in towards the hairpin, has a look to the inside, has a look to the outside. Kelvin van der Linde has him covered off at the moment, but a drag race out towards turn 7, they will come. But it looks like the challenge is not coming at the moment.
Jules Gounon leads the race, but has yet to make a pit stop. As I say, 32 to 33 seconds, the total time for a pit stop. That would put him back in around about 7th place. Look at this, 3 abreast. Marco Wittmann, Luca Eichsler on the outside, Nicky Tim. Nicky Tim in the Lamborghini keeps his foot absolutely buried, but the BMW has got in between those 2 Lamborghinis. Big Marco is on a charge here, so that puts him ahead of Eichsler up to 11th place. And Jules Gounon, I can see, has come into the pits, the race leader, which just leaves Sheldon van der Linde, and he comes in as well. So the last 2 to make their pit stops come in, still with 8 minutes to go, which means that Kelvin van der Linde is going to pick up the overall lead of the race once again. He is about to come out of turn 17. There was some contact between Nicky Tim's Lamborghini and Jack Aitken's Ferrari earlier on as well. That was at the Sachs curve, and that put the British driver out through the gravel trap, which is why he's tumbled down the order a little bit as well, down at the moment to 15th place. It was a fair bit of contact, that, wasn't it? Nicky Tim muscling through, Arjun Maini taking advantage of that and getting past the Ferrari and past the Lamborghini as well. So Arjun out to 9th place overall.
Yeah, no surprises. The race stewards are having a look at that. That's a replay of that moment that Lucas Auer had. Did well to keep it pointing in the right direction, if I'm honest. Getting out on the grass, there's not much grip out there, I'll have you know. And it left him vulnerable to Kelvin van der Linde. Van der Linde saw his opportunity and took it. And that's the only opportunity he needed to get past Lucas Auer. But now, can he keep the yellow mamba behind him?
Fastest lap of the race has just gone to Mr. R. Rast, if you've ever heard of him. 1 minute 38.672 seconds for the 3-time champions. The BMW driver up now, well, 8th at the start of the lap, but with Jules Gounon and Sheldon van der Linde in, he's going to be coming out probably somewhere around Jules Gounon and René Rast will be more or less together, I think, and Sheldon should be behind them, so he should be at least up to 7th, maybe up to 6th place at the end of this lap. But Kelvin van der Linde is your race leader. I can see Jack Aitken limping back into the pits, I'm afraid, the British driver in the Emile Frey Racing Ferrari, and that's possibly a result of the damage from that contact with Nicky Tim. It could be damage to the car, it could be damage to one of the Pirelli tyres. So in he comes. That incident is being looked at by the stewards as well. Now, the next question is, Mirko Bortolotti, what have you got in the bag? And I think the answer is he's definitely got something in the bag, because I reckon he's coming back after Maro Engel, isn't he?
Yes, well, he never gives up, does he? I mean, let's face it, he's certainly closing in on the Mercedes. Out of 16 they come. So at the moment, they cross the line. We're looking at the gap between the 2 of them. So Maro Engel about 6.5 tenths ahead of him as Jack Aitken's car is pushed back into the garage. And that's a real shame to see him retiring from the race.
It is, yeah. And Jack's had all his wins this year, more wins than anybody, but he's also had some real sucker punches, hasn't he, in this year's championship. It's been a real season of highs and lows for Jack. Certainly the pace is there. It hasn't, with some bad luck at times as well, had the consistency to be able to challenge for the championship. Nicky Tim, scant consolation to Jack Aitken, but he is going to be awarded a penalty lap for causing that collision with Jack Aitken. So that is going to drop him down. He's going to cost 5 seconds. There is the penalty zone to the right there, that rectangular box marked out. They have to go through it at 50 kilometres an hour. It's on the way out of the Spitskara. You have to do it. You can only go past the pit lane once and receive the signal. So you have to come in within 2 attempts. And Nicky Tim possibly, can't see, might have just gone into it there. Yes, he has. So Nicky Tim goes out, rejoins back behind Ricardo Feller and in front of Sheldon van der Linde. So that'll put him down to 12th place.
Lucas Auer has taken about 0.3 of a second out of Kelvin van der Linde's lead on the last lap. So he's not given up yet, has he? Aintjan Nguyen, they're in 3rd place, about 1.4 seconds behind them. Then it's Maro Engel. It was 0.643. Now, yeah, still 0.643 ahead of Mirko Bortolotti. So holding station at the moment, but it feels a little bit like some of the cars further back are closing in. We look at Sheldon van der Linde challenging further back. He is in 13th place, and he's just caught up with Nicky Tim after that drive through the penalty box. So Nicky Tim has fallen back into the clutches of him. Here is our race leader once again, Kelvin van der Linde. Lucas Houwer, well, we can tell you what the gap is. It says 0.453. You can see what the gap is. Closing is the answer to that. Around the parabolica, they take it absolutely flat out, heading up towards the hairpin once again. Now, will Lucas Houwer make a challenge? He goes to the outside, into the hairpin, he pulls in front. Kelvin van der Linde has the inside line though. He has the racing line. He's able to shut the door. So Lucas Houwer has to drop in behind, but he's made his intentions very clear. Now towards turn 7 they come. He has a little look to the inside, in towards turn 8, which will be the left-hander. Heavy braking. Lucas Houwer with a look to the outside. Kelvin van der Linde still has it covered off. The back end of the car sliding. The two cars very much running as one as they head into the Motordrome section of the circuit. Kelvin van der Linde looking increasingly under pressure.
And Jaguar is trying his best to get involved in the battle in the background, isn't he? Kelvin runs wide, coming out of the Moment 1 curve. The back tyres kick up the dust. And that was a wild ride. He goes through the Sachs curve. He's still ahead by about 2 car lengths, by about 3 or 4 tenths of a second. But Lucas Houwer is piling on the pressure now that his tyres are up to temperature. Gurley's on a similar pace but can't close the gap. But if they fight each other, hold each other up, then the Turkish driver could be in there as well. He'd love his first win of the season, wouldn't he? First win in the DTM if he can do it. And then Maro Engel is, for now, keeping Mirko Bortolotti at bay. There is Maro in the white Mercedes, looking to celebrate 130 years of motorsport involvement for Mercedes this year, hence that special livery with a championship title. He's still in the fight going into tomorrow as it stands, still 20 points back on the championship leader, but the new championship leader would be Kelvin van der Linde as it stands, but there could be a 5-point swing any moment now if Lucas Houwer gets on the gas, gets on the brakes and goes for it. And anybody that's ever watched Lucas Houwer will know he is not scared in coming forward. He's one of the last of the late breakers. He's a super brave driver, and the Austrian going for it again. He's not close enough to attack at the Spitzkehrer, but he does close the gap once more to Kelvin. So stress levels through the roof aboard Kelvin van der Linde's Audi, I would imagine. He's going to have to dig deep for this one. It's going to be the longest 22 minutes of his life.
Fantastic stuff. First, second, third, fourth, fifth, all within one camera shot. This is what we love. And all of the championship contenders in that top 5. Kelvin van der Linde fending off Lucas Houwer. We've seen him make the challenge. It hasn't stuck yet, but he has 21.5 minutes plus 1 lap to do something about it. Don't discount Iron Changuin in the background as well. He fancies some trophies to take home with him at the end of this weekend. Maro Engel seems to have the measure of Mirko Bortolotti at the moment, but we've still got another 21.5 minutes remaining.
Jules Gounon has the fastest lap of the race. Angel Gouin was half a second quicker than the 2 leaders last time around. So that green Porsche getting brighter and bigger in the mirrors. Kelvin van der Linde, though, he's a bit more concerned with the bright yellow Mercedes that's monstering him at the moment. Lucas Houwer trying to get his first win of the season and trying to help out his teammate Maro Engel by taking 5 points away from Kelvin van der Linde, which would mean that rather than be 20 behind, Maro will be 15 behind going into tomorrow, which is not bad at all considering he was 9th on the grid and Kelvin was on pole position. The top 5 can all see one another, but a very quick maths on the teams championship as well. The team in 3rd, Winward, are currently outscoring the team in 2nd, Abt, and they're both outscoring Schubert. So as it stands, quick maths, unofficial, but Schubert 24 clear of Abt, and then 34 clear of Winward in the teams championship. Still 90 points up for grabs tomorrow, so it's the same top 3, but the gap's coming down, I reckon, on points. There's a long way to go in this race. Pit window about to close. We've still got a third of the race to go in this 1 hour plus 1 lap race. A replay of this move on Mirko Bortolotti from earlier on, just after the pit window, just after their pit window, from Maro Engel diving up the inside. And this is the move for the lead of the race, to get the lead back from Kelvin van der Linde. After 1 lap on the cold tyres, Lucas Houwer almost managed to fend him off, but just ran ragged coming out of turn 17. And that was all the invitation that Kelvin needed. So pit window now closed. Everybody's been in anyway. And it's a straight fight to the end of the race now, this penultimate race of DTM 2024. Kelvin van der Linde exits turn 17. Lucas Auer is hanging on to him, but not close enough to pressurise him into turn 1 or 2 at the moment. But he's making his presence absolutely felt. He looked very good as well, going through turn 1 there. Auer is absolutely on it, 100% from the Austrian, as he closes up a bit more now, shows his nose, says, hello, I'm here, don't forget about me. No chance. Kelvin's never going to forget about that Lucas Auer Mercedes. And all the time in the background, the green Porsche of Ayenjan Guyen, who wants to get his first win in the DTM and couldn't care a sausage about championship points, is trying to get closer to them, and he's doing it as well. He's again quite a bit quicker on the last lap than the pair of them, well, the last couple of laps than the pair of them. Showing his nose into the Spitzkehrer is Lucas Auer. Then he dummies it back to the outside, tries to get on the gas earlier, coming on the exit to the corner. He's closing to Kelvin van der Linde. Kelvin's just going to be ahead when they get to the right-hander next, though, and for now keeps the lead of the race.
It's that part of the track where Kelvin looks to be most vulnerable. Lucas Auer again just showing himself to the outside into the left-hander. But Kelvin van der Linde covering him off, but is in along the parabolica towards the hairpin is where Lucas Auer has the real pace and starts to fill the mirrors. During this part of the circuit, the latter part of the circuit, is where Kelvin van der Linde seems to be able to claw it back. But Lucas Auer is monstering that car. If you don't believe me, look at him when he comes out of the final corner, absolutely giving it everything he's got to try and keep up with Kelvin van der Linde, but maybe getting a good exit out of the last corner in towards turn 1 and being close as they head in towards turns 2, 3 and 4 is going to be the trick to getting past. So out of the last corner we come once again. Lucas Auer extracting everything out of the track, out along the pit straight once again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all running in single file.
On the previous lap, Bortolotti was quicker than Engel, and they were both quicker than Guyen, and it's all concertinaing up. So the gap from 1st to 5th is now only 3.5 seconds. And as soon as this pair get into a fisticuffs out on track, the race leaders, they're going to hold each other up, and the next 3 are going to be on them. It's going to be a proper fireworks finish, this, in the penultimate round of 2024. But Kelvin van der Linde, he's been here a million times. Yes, he hasn't won the DTM, but he's a GT Masters champion. He's a Nürburgring 24-hour race winner. He knows how to deal with the pressure, and pressure has been absolutely launched at him, and it's going to be coming from multiple directions anytime soon, because Guyen looks like he's getting closer and closer in that Porsche. Last time around, he was 3/10 quicker than the pair of them. 2/10 quicker than him was Engel, and similar pace for Bortolotti as well. So just waiting for his chance here, Bortolotti, to get through. Nicky Tim and Sheldon van der Linde have both got past Luca Engstler now as well. So Luca's down to 12th place, and Luca Engstler about to lose another one here to the teammate to Kelvin van der Linde, Ricardo Feller. So he's up to 12th. Sparks fly. Another point taken then for AB Sportsline in their battle to try and win the team's championship, as Ricardo recovers nicely from what was last at the end of lap 1. But what about the leaders? I can see them out of the commentary box window, and the gap is as close as it ever was between Kelvin van der Linde and Lucas Auer. Get a replay of that bouncing Lamborghini of Luca Engstler, sparks flying as he lost that position to the Audi of Ricardo Feller. Right, the top 3 go over the line. First, second and third covered by just 1.3 seconds. And on that lap, again, slightly quicker was Ayenjan Guyen. So he's getting into the mix here. This is going to be a grandstand finish. And if he can catch them, Maro Engel can catch them as well. So Lucas Auer now makes his way through the exit to turn number 2, 3, 4, and now towards Parabolica. They then charge at 265 kilometers an hour. Is he close enough to attack? I would say no, but he will close up under braking on that Mercedes, and it looks good coming out of the corners as well. I think Kelvin has just got enough in hand at the moment to be able to fend off the Austrian.
Don't go anywhere. The final quarter of the race is coming up. 5 cars fighting for the lead. 3 of them need the points. 2 of them don't. They're all fighting for those podium positions in this, the penultimate race of the season, and they're all closing in on each other. Anything could happen in the next quarter of an hour. Kelvin van der Linde would rather it didn't, though, because at the moment he's got that lead from Lucas Auer, but how much pressure can he withstand? He'll have one eye on the track in front. He'll have the other eye on his mirrors because it's full of yellow mamba. In the meantime, Lucas Auer will know Ayenjan Guyen is closing in, so if he's going to try and make a move on Kelvin van der Linde, he'll want to do it before that Porsche gets any closer.
Kelvin looking for his 8th win in the DTM and 25 huge points. If it stays like this, he will move into the championship lead, having started the race 12 points behind, having started the day 15 points behind. He'll move into the lead of the championship. He'll be 2 points clear of Mirko Bortolotti and 20 points clear of Maro Engel. There'll still 3 of them be involved in the championship fight going into tomorrow. Look how much they're pushing there. Look how wide they're going as they get on the gas going through the Nord curve. The first 2 turns, they are absolutely on it. It's a real spectacle here at Hockenheim. But because he's quick through that first couple of turns and he gets a good exit in that nimble, short wheelbase Audi R8 through turns 3 and 4 as well, it just gives Kelvin van der Linde that little bit of breathing space. So even though he gives a toe to the Mercedes behind him, even though the Mercedes is very good on the brakes, even though Lucas Auer is hugely brave on the brakes, he's not quite close enough to have a lunge down the inside. But what Lucas Auer is doing here, Brian, he's making Kelvin van der Linde drive that car and use the tyres at 100%, and that might tell at the end of the race.
You stole the words from my mouth, because Kelvin van der Linde is having to take an awful lot out of the car, and maybe Lucas Auer, he's a wise old pilot, is playing the long game here, as you say, putting the pressure on, forcing Kelvin van der Linde to take too much out of that rubber and leaving him vulnerable in the closing stages of this race. At the moment, all he needs to do is to keep the pressure on, keep holding station and see what happens. Iron Nguyen about 9/10 of a second back from Lucas Auer, so not closing in anymore at the moment. Kelvin van der Linde's the rear quarter of that. Just looking outward, if it looked like there was a bit of damage on it, maybe that's just the angle we're at, but certainly no issues with pace at the moment.
The old trusty steed, the Audi R8, Abt Sportsline there, last but one day with that car. Can it get a race victory? They're 78th. Here's the big moment of the race. That contact, shouldering Mirko Bortolotti out of the way, muscling his way through. Maro Engel just after they both made their pit stops. And Maro Engel, it had the tyres on for 1 lap more, got the tyres up to temperature, seizing the opportunity to get through. Mirko Bortolotti off the road, losing the position, dropping down to 5th place. So Maro Engel has come from 9th to 4th. Mirko Bortolotti initially went from 7th to 4th on a great first lap, but has dropped to 5th place now. And Bortolotti at the moment has got no answer to Maro Engel. He's on a similar pace, but the gap's staying at about 1.4 seconds. Let's hear now from the 6th place driver, Jules Gunon.
Gap to Bortolotti, 4 seconds now. You're doing a good job, mate.
Yeah, he was 7/10 quicker on the last lap, Jules Gunon, on the Mirko Bortolotti, so that's looking a bit menacing.
The 5-way battle for the lead could soon be a 6-way battle for the lead. When people refer to putting a stamp on it and sending it, they'll probably use a video of Maro Engel and Mirko Bortolotti to illustrate it, because that's exactly what he did, launching it up the inside. What a great move that was.
Jules Gunon has already taken 0.4 of a second out of Mirko Bortolotti on this lap, the first 2/3 of the lap. So he is coming, no doubt about it. He's still 3.4 seconds adrift, but he is pushing hard, and Bortolotti could ill afford to lose another position. He's 5th at the moment, 11 points, 10 points for 6. It's only a point, but you can see this championship going down to just single-figure points. As Thomas Preining's had a difficult race. He's 15th. He's clinging on for a championship point here. A reminder that Thomas Preining has finished every race this season and every race last season in the points. So he's got this enormous record going at the moment, but he's only just clinging on to it, and Max Powell is only half a second behind him. If he drops to 16th, he drops out of the points for the first time since Hockenheim 2022, when he was involved in that huge crash that we had here on the Saturday, which saw the engine of his teammate Dennis Olsen's Porsche being torn clean out of the car. Now, showing his nose properly, Lucas Auer goes for the move. There's contact, and the Spitskara, but the South African stays ahead of the Austrian. Kelvin van der Linde just withstood that nudge, but that was a half lunge. He was quite a long way back, and in the end, he's lost ground coming out of the corner, but that would have been a real heart-in-the-mouth moment, a heart-stopping moment for everybody supporting Kelvin van der Linde. He was 2 wheels on the grass there, trying to force his way through. Contact to the right rear corner of the Audi, and you've got to worry about contact with the sharp carbon fibre of that Mercedes. If that had clipped the tyre of Kelvin van der Linde, that could have resulted in a puncture, but I think he missed the tyre.
Wow, well, if there wasn't damage on the right rear quarter of Van der Linde's car a few minutes ago, there might be now in the Landgraf team. They look on with Man Team Filter team. They look on with shock and concern. They've all survived, but I think Kelvin van der Linde had the biggest heart-stopping moment of all. He saw his championship flashing before his eyes. It looks like he hasn't got any damage. He's able to recover. Lucas Auer's dropped back a bit, but he's made it clear what he wants to do. He's not worried about the risk. He wants to get into the lead of this race. Now, Kelvin van der Linde, again, will be wondering, does he let him go or does he defend? Well, defending is what he did in that last move.
Yeah, well, you let him go, you drop to second, you lose 5 points. What if he loses a championship by 4 or 5 points? He'll never forgive himself, will he? A racing driver just goes against every instinct to give a position up. If he was leading the championship by 30 points or something, you'd think, yeah, maybe he would do that. But he's not. He's trying to win the championship. He's trying to close the gap. He's trying to move ahead of Mirko Bortolotti. So he can't really afford to do that. Let's hear now from Maro Engel.
How is Ruben doing for track limit? Because he's on every lap.
It's not just me that's going wide, says Maro Engel. He's on his final warning, so he's having to be careful as well. But how often is Engel going off the road, he says, because he reckons he's going off all the time. So just a little note to the team, but also hoping that the officials might be listening to that transmission as well. Maro's definitely a bit closer to the back of the Porsche than he was a couple of laps ago. Still looming large in the mirrors, getting bigger and closer as Jules Gunnon's black HRT Mercedes. I'll tell you what, Lucas Auer is quicker than Kelvin van der Linde, because this was the move on the previous lap that resulted in the contact, but he dropped 4 or 5 car lengths back because he lost all his momentum there, Lucas Auer. But as they come out of turn 17 and past the commentary box window, the gap is down again to less than 3 car lengths. So he's coming back at him, and now Kelvin van der Linde knows exactly what is coming, and he knows that Lucas is going to go for it, and maybe even if he's not right on his tail, he might come anyway. So he's going to brace himself every time down at that hairpin. But Lucas Auer is getting bigger and bigger in the mirrors, closer and closer. Once again, he might be a bit too far back this time, but I'm sure he's going to have at least one more attempt to get the lead of the race here before the end of the 15th round of the championship.
7.5 minutes plus 1 lap remaining of this race. We're still no closer to identifying what the exact order of the podium is going to be. Kelvin van der Linde is on team radio. Let's have a listen in.
We are not quick enough, man. We are not quick enough.
Copy, mate. We see. 6 more laps. Let's try to survive.
Well, you might not be as quick as you want to be, Kelvin, but you are in front, and you can make that Audi a little bit wider just through sheer willpower. His dad, Sean, himself a former touring car champion, his mom, Bernie, will be watching on, barely able to breathe. They've already witnessed one of their sons win the DTM Championship, Sheldon, a couple of years ago. Kelvin's dream to do this, his hero, was Matthias Ekstrom in the Red Bull liveried Sportsline Audi all those years ago. Can he replicate his hero, who went on to win 2 DTM Championship titles? At the moment, he's in the box seat. He's going to move into the final day tomorrow with his nose just in front in the championship, if it stays like this, if he can win the race and if he can get all 25 points. But Lucas Auer goes across the line, and the gap between them is less than half a second now. The last lap, a 1:39.292 for Kelvin, a 1:39.253 for Lucas. So the gap coming down by just thousandths of a second. He's digging deep here. He's giving it absolutely everything, Kelvin van der Linde, to keep the attacks at bay. But you just get the sense there's going to be 1 or 2 more big moments in this race. And Lucas is also free to go for it now, Brian, because you look in the mirrors and the attack from Engel Nguyen has started to fade, hasn't it? He's dropping further away in that 3rd place.
Yeah, it's fallen by the wayside, hasn't it? Kelvin van der Linde feels like he's had Lucas Auer glued to his back bumper for pretty well the whole race, is what it feels like. Lucas Auer, with nothing to lose, he wants 1st place. That's all he wants. Kelvin van der Linde needs the points. He wants 25. Will he have to settle for 20 or even less than that? Lucas Auer looking to break his heart and break his dreams as well as he leads this race. But at the moment, if he can hold on, he will jump to the championship lead. Mirko Bortolotti solid in that 5th place at the moment. Maro Engel in 4th. Nguyen having dropped back from the lead duo.
Jules Gounon was 6/10 quicker than Mirko Bortolotti on the last lap. So, well, last time we checked in, the gap was 3.3 seconds. Now it is just over a second, 1.1 seconds. And he's getting to the point where the Mercedes driver could be going for an attack here and could, again, try and take points away from Mirko Bortolotti. That would be helpful for Maro Engel, another Mercedes driver, just ahead of the pair of them. So in the background, there you can see lights ablaze. Jules Gounon is catching up to Mirko Bortolotti pretty rapidly. The gap comes down to under 7/10 of a second, so he was 4/10 quicker on that lap, all told. And Mirko Bortolotti's going to have to dig deep just to get that car home in 5th place. The Lamborghini driver, the Italian, fighting for every point here, scrapping for every single championship point. What about the leaders, though? Kelvin van der Linde at the moment is tackling the Parabolica flat out. Is he clear enough? Yes, he is still, what, 3 car lengths clear of Lucas Auer, so he can breathe for now. 4 minutes plus 1 lap to go. It's going to feel like forever for Kelvin.
Lucas Auer has been shown the black and white flag for failing to manage track limits. That might explain why he's dropped back a little bit. So the black and white flag is a warning, but if he gets another one, it could be a penalty. So the car ends 2nd place with a warning from the race stewards. The gap has opened up to nearly 8/10 of a second, just a little below 8/10 of a second.
Franck Pereira has just come into the pits with a problem, so it looks like our 2nd retirement following the retirement for Jack Aitken a while ago. So he drops out of 17th place. That moves the McLaren of Clement Schmidt up to 17th. Thomas Preining still just about hanging on to the final championship point in 15th, ahead of Max Powell. There is the Grasser Lamborghini from Pereira being pushed into the garage as the leaders come into the final turn at turn 17. 3 minutes and change, plus 1 lap to go in this race. Kelvin van der Linde is looking a bit more comfortable now, it has to be said. It's not exactly miles clear of Lucas Auer, but he's been able to keep him 3 or 4 car lengths at distance for the last, what, 2 or 3 laps of the race. So the gap between them, 0.7 seconds. There is Jules Gounon, still trying to go after Mirko Bortolotti, but Mirko pulled the gap back out to 1.2 seconds on that lap. And that was because Jules had a sluggish lap, a 1:40.2. So Gounon maybe went off the road somewhere or went a bit ragged somewhere and lost a bit of that ground that he's been making up.
Less than 2.5 minutes remaining, plus the obligatory 1 lap. This is so tense. Kelvin van der Linde must be sweating as he leads the way in the number 3 car. Lucas Auer has thrown everything at him, including the kitchen sink, as they head out again around towards turn 7 and into turn 8. With the warning hovering over him, Lucas Auer, for track limits, he needs to be careful. 2nd place at the moment. Has he got anything else up his sleeve? He's got just over 1 minute and 3/4, plus the 1 lap remaining of this race to do something about it. Kelvin van der Linde has done all the hard work. Let's listen to Team Radio with Jules Gounon.
3 laps to go. Come on, you can do it.
Being G'd on there on Team Radio. Come on, you've done all the hard work. You can do it. We've got time. We've got 3 laps to go. So the battle continues. Lucas Auer looks a tiny bit closer to me than he was in the previous lap as they come into turn 16. We'll see if my eyes deceive me or not. It's not much in it. It's certainly a fact that Kelvin is not getting away. It was 0.683 seconds. It has come down. It's come down by a whole 0.5 of a second, 0.615 seconds. But he is a bit closer, and he is still keeping the pressure up. Look at that, 2 drivers on the absolute limit of adhesion as they negotiated the Nordkurve at close to 200 kilometres an hour. Lucas Auer is still throwing everything at this. 1 minute plus 1 lap remaining in this race. Kelvin van der Linde on his way to the championship lead with a day to go in the DTM 2024 championship. His closest rival, Mirko Bortolotti, 5th. His other rival, Maro Engel, currently running in 4th place and 1.2 seconds away from Ian Nguyen. He's that bright green Porsche in 3rd, a bit wide on the exit to the Spitzkehrer. Goes the Audi of Kelvin van der Linde, but he's okay, gets good traction and heads towards turn 7, still a couple of lengths clear.
Has Lucas Auer got anything else up his sleeve that he can launch at Kelvin van der Linde? He's running out of opportunities. They're going to go into the hairpin just one more time after this, and that will be potentially his best opportunity. It's where he has been closest, but time is running out. The clock is about to strike 0, so it'll be the remainder of this lap, and then 1 more for our race leader, Kelvin van der Linde. The checkered flag cannot come soon enough for the South African.
No, and it is going to be one more lap at the end of this one. The clock has just ticked down to 0 seconds. And look at Jules Gounon, closer than he's ever been now to Mirko Bortolotti. If he gets past Mirko, Mirko will lose a championship point. He'll score 10 instead of 11 points. That's going to become the world's widest Lamborghini very, very shortly. Let me tell you, final lap of the race then. 4.5 kilometres between Kelvin van der Linde and a famous, much-needed race victory. And it could be the biggest win of his life. But he's not there yet. He's still got to negotiate one lap. He's still got to somehow keep Lucas Auer behind him. And for Mirko Bortolotti, he's in a similar predicament. He's having to keep a very rapid Mercedes behind him. You can see that Jules Gounon giving it absolutely everything as he came out of turns 3 and 4 through the Parabolica for the last time they go. I think Kelvin van der Linde should be okay, Brian.
Yes, I think Lucas Auer is just a little bit too far back to do any kind of dive bomb manoeuvres. Out of the hairpin they come for the last time. But it looks like Kelvin van der Linde has him covered off, but he's still got a few more corners to go, still 11 more corners to go. That's a vision of us in the commentary box at the moment. Eyes across, covered by fingers. And that's exactly how we're all feeling. It has been the tensest of all races.
Here we go then, half a lap to go. Heading into the Mobil 1 curve for the last time. Kelvin van der Linde ahead of Lucas Auer, who's pressed him all the way home this race. Arjen Gouwen looks like he's going to get 3rd place, but the 25 points and the championship lead are coming the way of Kelvin van der Linde. Everybody, I hope you enjoyed your starters. Tomorrow, we've got the main course. The championship will go right down to the last day of the season, and Kelvin van der Linde will be the championship leader on Sunday morning. He takes the win.
That's the maximum I've ever done in an Audi. That's the maximum. There's nothing left.
Victory for Kelvin van der Linde, a first podium of the year for Lucas Auer, and Arjen Gouwen with a tremendous 3rd place podium as well.
I know this was 110%, man. You did it well. What a drive. Proud of you.
A mega drive. He had to dig
it was an honor
so deep for that.
It was an honor to watch you today. Let's repeat tomorrow. I know it's hard, but we will get it. Come on.
An honour to watch you today.
Wait, collect pickup, please. Collect pickup.
And don't forget, pick up the tyre, debris. What a battle that was. It might not have had the overtake in the end, but it did have a big side-by-side moment. He did have a breathtakingly, agonisingly tight attempt from Lucas Auer, which resulted in contact, and then everybody at ABT, everybody in South Africa held their breath. Was there damage to the car? Was there going to be a puncture? But it held together. The old trusty steed held together. And Kelvin van der Linde, who looked mighty relieved when he got pole position this morning. Imagine how relieved he's going to be to get that race victory. A huge win for Kelvin van der Linde, your new championship leader.
He's going to have to carry 20 kilos of success ballast tomorrow, but we won't ruin the parade by saying that now. So at the moment, I should think the relief must be immense. He has extracted every single point that he can out of today. And his main championship rival down in 5th place, well, he's picked up points, but it's certainly not what he came here for today. And it is going to be tomorrow, literally a dash for the cash.
A one-day championship, everybody, and 3 drivers still involved in the fight. And we all know that day 2 in the DTM is never, ever, ever the same as day 1. So Kelvin will celebrate, ABT will celebrate, but they know the job still has a long way to be done. But the crowd, as they've been all year long, have been treated to another tense battle. It was a close race. Lucas Auer gave it absolutely everything. Mirko Bortolotti, 5th place, but he's still in the fight.
Well, mate, P5, and tomorrow we're going to strike back for sure.
So, tables...
No comment on this, no comment.
No comment, not happy. Right, so, but what was Kelvin saying on the grid to Verena? It's quite a nice position to be 2nd in the championship because the pressure's off your shoulders, you can go for it. I know what Mirko must be feeling like. He's the championship leader, he's got all the weight on his shoulders. But tomorrow, Brian, it's the other way around.
It's funny how quickly it turns around, really, isn't it? These two have been swapping the top of the points all season long. Who's going to be at the top when it really counts, and that's when the checkered flag falls tomorrow. The gap is going to be very, very close indeed. It's going to be a heck of a race. It's going to be basically whoever finishes in front is going to be champion.
Set your alarms, 9:35 a.m. local time here in Germany. Qualifying 2, 3 points up for grabs for pole, 2 for second, 1 for third. What difference will they make at the end of the season as well? So far this year in qualifying, Mirko Bortolotti has scored 17 points and Kelvin van der Linde has scored 11. So you add those points up, they've made a huge difference to the championship fight as well. But for now, Kelvin van der Linde, having been 15 points back at the start of the weekend, is now 2 clear. Championship leader ahead of Mirko Bortolotti. 28 points still available, so Maro Engel is still in the fight. He's where he started, 20 points behind the championship leader. It's just that it's somebody else that he's now trying to catch. Kelvin van der Linde squeezes his way out of the Audi. He's barely got any energy to get up onto the roof of the car. He's given everything. He's got everything to win that race, and he's done it. He's got no energy left. He'll sleep well tonight. He'll probably be asleep after the press conference. He must be shattered, but he's done it. Mentally draining, not just the physical effort. These drivers are peak athletes, but it's the mental effort as well. Not just to try to fend off Lucas Auer, but of trying to win this championship, which is so hard to do.
You can see how much emotion is going on inside the crash helmet of Kelvin van der Linde. This means an awful lot, and now with just a couple of points separating him and Mirko Bortolotti. It's going to be pressure tomorrow, but these two drivers know how to deal with pressure. He's not taking his helmet off yet. He's not jumping around the place. It's just, I think, massive relief, exhaustion, release of tension, but it ain't done yet. Still a championship to win.
Absolutely right. OK, what a race. Let's get some reaction to it now, down with Verena.
And I'm here with Lucas Auer, who really tried his very, very best. You were pushing so hard. I'm sure you made Kelvin's life out there hell. You tried till the very end, and you did a phenomenal job. So are you happy with the P2?
Yes, very happy. It was a tough race, was a good race. Congrats to Kelvin, 0 mistakes. There were some stages where I was quicker. At the end, he was again quicker. But very tough racing.
Also, it's your first podium, so congratulations to that. And looking forward to tomorrow?
Yeah, looking forward. We seem to have quite a decent pace.
Absolutely. Thank you, Luki. Back to you.
Thanks, Verena. Yeah, really nice to see Lucas Auer get his first podium of 2024, his 23rd career podium in the DTM. Confirmation of the results there then with Kelvin van der Linde at the top of the times. Lucas Auer was second, Ijngen Nguyen third, Maro Engel fourth, Mirko Bortolotti fifth, Jules Gunon sixth on his debut, René Rast fighting back to seventh, Arjun Maini eighth, Marco Wittmann and Nicky Tim rounded out the top 10. So confirmation of the points. Kelvin van der Linde 2 points clear, 28 points up for grabs. Mirko Bortolotti is now the hunter rather than the hunted, and Maro Engel is still not giving in on the fight. One of them is going to be the champion. One of them is going to become a first-time champion. We'll know the outcome in 24 hours' time, but not before that, because as ever, it's going to go right down to the wire. Kelvin van der Linde, though, picking up a magnificent win, and this was the moment he took the checkered flag and crossed the line as a victor in the DTM for the 8th time in his career and his 63rd race in the DTM. A magnificent victory ahead of a lot of pressure from Lucas Auer, and well done to Ijngen Nguyen as well, who's picked up his second podium in DTM, following on from a third-place finish at the Hockenheimring last year. There to the left of your picture, Hans-Jürgen Abt, and to hear the team celebrating, big smiles on their faces. A real family team, the Abt Sportsline team, the most successful team on the DTM grid, already announcing they're going to be back with us next year. And incidentally, Martin Tomczyk, who was a driver's champion himself in 2011, is the team principal now. If they win the championship tomorrow with Kelvin van der Linde, he'd become the first ever person to win the DTM as a driver and also as a team principal, just as another element to this. Right, Kelvin van der Linde's got the helmet off, and he's got enough energy to smile, but he has thrown his heart at that. He's left it all out there, and he's got the win. Well done as well, though, to Ijngen Nguyen, who picks up third place, his first podium of the year, his second career podium in the DTM. Great to see him having a much better time of life in the second half of this season. And Lucas Auer back on the podium. What a week he's had after victory in the GT World Challenge Sprint Cup in terms of the championship with Maro Engel last weekend. He gets his first podium. But there, a big, big intake of breath because Calvin van der Linde is announced onto the podium as your race winner for round 15 of DTM 2024. The winning team, of course, the ABD Sportsline team, have now got their 78th win in this championship. They'll be very happy with a 79th tomorrow, let me tell you, but he might not need to win the race now to win the championship. He's just got to finish ahead of Mirko Bortolotti. We'll now get the winners' national anthem. We've been treated to the note of it. I asked him at the Red Bull Ring, are you aware of all, not just the support from your friends and family, but all of the support that you get and everybody that's behind you in South Africa? And he said, yes, absolutely I am. I know they're all behind me, and I feel it every time I get into the car. And here it is, the trophy that means the most for now, because there's another trophy, a bigger one, that he'd love to get his hands on, and that is for the championship title. That he has not yet got, but he could get it tomorrow, or it could be Mirko Bortolotti, or it could be Maro Engel. But he's in the driving seat. Lucas Auer, big smile for him as he receives his second place trophy. And likewise for the very likeable Aenja Nguyen, who picks up his first trophy of the season as well. So good to see him and the Mantide team with a good result here at Hockenheim. Angelique Kerber we saw on the grids and heard from on the grid. She held the Start Your Engines board for us as well. The former world #1 tennis player hands the team trophy to the founder of ABD Sportsline, Hans-Jürgen Abt, who's been there since the very beginning of their journey in the DTM. He started out as an intern in the family-run business, and here he is now at the head of it all. Smiles all around for these three drivers. What a Saturday for Calvin van der Linde, your race winner. The champagne is sprayed, the relief is palpable, the fight is still on. DTM 2024 continues to deliver. So for now, they can enjoy the moment, enjoy the success and celebrate together, but not too hard, because the job is only half done. It's all got to be fought for again tomorrow in qualifying at 9:35, and the race will kick off at 1:30 p.m. local time here at Hockenheim, the 16th round of the championship. So big smiles all around, as you can imagine, for the ABD Sportsline team. What a way to sign out their 25-year relationship it would be with Audi. Even if they don't get the race win tomorrow, what a run it has been. 78 wins together between Audi and ABD. And could they get another driver's title? They've had drivers in the top 3 in the championship every single season of the GT era of the DTM championship since 2021. And it's now 16 out of the 24 seasons that they've competed that they have had a driver in, at least one driver in the top 3 in the championship. So super slow-mos of your top 3. Let's hear more now with Verena.
And I'm now here with Kelvin van der Linde. I mean, you really did it, man. You did it, and it was such a tough race. We could just see it. I mean, how do you feel right now? I guess just relieved that you survived and you managed to hold on to your victory.
It's such a happy day. My parents are here. Everyone is here from South Africa, and honestly, what a day to bring one of your best performances ever. I don't know what more was left in the car today. I had a yellow Mercedes in my mirrors the whole race. And honestly, at one point, I think 20 minutes into the race, I said to my engineer, I can't hold him back. I can't. Let him go. I can't deal with the pressure anymore. And he said, no, just keep defending, keep going. And then it was a crazy race. I'm just so relieved, to be honest. More relieved than anything else.
Absolutely. You must have been kind of like a chameleon, like one eye in the front and one eye on Luki, right? He was making your life hell.
Yeah, he was. Respect to him. He's always quick here. And, you know, he really puts on a big fight. He's had a tough season to start with, but coming back strong. So respect to him. And, yeah, always a pleasure to beat a guy like that on track.
Now, earlier you said before the race, you're kind of glad not to be leading the championship because then the pressure's not so much on. But now, let me guess, now the pressure's on. I mean, you're leading by 2 points.
Yeah, I mean, the pressure is on, I guess. But days like these don't come often, so we've got to enjoy them too, right?
Absolutely. And you're going to enjoy tomorrow as well and fight like hell?
Yeah, definitely. And regardless of the outcome, just a big thanks to everyone that's been following us, supporting. I know there's a lot of home support from South Africa, so thanks to everybody back home. You guys rock, so thank you so much.
And you rock. Thank you so much. Back to you.
Thanks very much, Verena. Well, if you're in any doubt as to just what it means to Kelvin van der Linde, doubt no more. It means everything. And you can see, I mean, one thing you can never say about Kelvin is that he won't ever give it 100%. He always gives it 100% every time he gets into the car. And he's fought and he's fought and he's fought for it. And remember the first round of the championship, the car was deadly slow and he couldn't work out what was happening, and it turned out to be a cracked chassis. They sorted it out, and the rest of the season he has been mega. Day one complete then. That's it from Brian Oliver and me, Chris Hartley, in the commentary box. Let's go back to Verena.
Thank you to the commentators, and I'm here with Sean Guven. Well, congratulations. You fought really hard coming from P3 and you got your 3rd place. It's your first one on the podium this year, so how excited are you?
I mean, I had a really hard season. The middle of the season was really, let's say, lowest point. But from there, in the summer break, we changed something, and also we start to put everything together. Race by race, we get there, and finally we are where we want to be. Still, I want top step, but I think today the package was maximum P3. I think in the wet we maximize, in the drive we maximize everything. I want to thank my team in this hard season, let's say. They was always behind me, but yeah, I think finally the package is there.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Looking forward to tomorrow, Chan. All right, so we really are looking forward to tomorrow because, wow, how things change. I mean, DTM is just so unpredictable. We now got a new leader of the championship, Kelvin van der Linde, 2 points ahead of Mirko Bortolotti. And then we've got Maro Engel, who is all in all 20 points behind Kelvin. So anything is still possible tomorrow, and that is just super exciting. And we cannot wait till tomorrow, so for the big final in the DTM 2024. Now, here are the highlights, and we'll see you tomorrow. Don't want to miss it.
Nothing left in it, guys.